Um, so today I'm at the conference of International Society of Ethnobiology, and I met an interesting researcher from where? What's your name?
Hello, my name is Daniel Antonio Villar Maldonado, and I am a DPhil student at the University of Oxford.
And you told me about an interesting story about a guy who ate very strange things in England.
Yes, so this was, I believe his name was Buckland. He was a professor in the early 19th century. And he was really one of the founders of what we now consider the science of paleontology. Though obviously in those days he wasn't so specialised. He was a natural scientist, so he published about botany and zoology and geology, but he's best known for paleontology. But he's also very well known for being a well-known eccentric in the university at the time. And one of his greatest eccentricities was that he liked to eat weird exotic animals.
For example?
For example, he used to have this lunch club, which would meet once a week, and they'd eat things like porcupine or zebra or things imported from the colonies. But what's probably the most exotic thing he ever ate was the heart of a king. In one of the...
Which king?
This was, he claimed, it should be said, this is purely based off his own claim at the time, and some scholars have since thought he may have been exaggerating for dramatic effect. But he claimed that he took out what looked like just a hunk of meat, and he said, "Gentlemen, this is the heart of King Louis XVI of France, the king who'd been executed in the French Revolution." And he proceeded to, cook it and give it to his guests and eat it. Now, whether it actually was the heart of King Louis XVI, obviously, no one's dug him up to double check. But given he had connections in court, he was a very important man, and he wasn't prone to lying, I suspect he probably did eat the heart of King Louis.
How would it be preserved?
Just in the ground, he was known for even, just as how nowadays, on occasion, you'll hear about a paleontologist at a 20,000-year-old piece of preserved mammoth. He was not above eating rotten meat or eating very old meat, purely to see what its effects would be, which I know sounds weird to us, but he was very much one of those people who lived in that period whose self-experimentation would have never passed an institutional review board nowadays.
Yeah. Well, anything else, that he ate? Any crazy things?
Well, he was probably the other weird one, which I recall Chapman, who was my tutor in the history of science, telling me once, is that he had claimed to have eaten scraps of the bog mummies. If you know that
the same guy ate.
The same guy, yes.
Scraps of bog.
So if you know about
mummies,
in Ireland in the bogs, you sometimes get human figures that get people who died in the bogs, and they get preserved for thousands and thousands of years.
He was a regular professor?
He was a regular. He was not only that, of Oxford, and he was a priest of the Church of England.
My God, it wasn't accepted?
Oh yes, he was considered.
Mummies, yeah?
He was considered an Well, remember in those days, mummy was considered still part of medicine. Up until the early 19th century, ground up mummy was used for paint. Mummy brown, you may have heard of that colour, was used in a lot of Renaissance and early modern painting, and you also had just mummy powder being used as a treatment. So a lot of figures of the 18th and 19th century were known to have been cannibals in the sense that they would have had ground mummy as part of their medicine. So in that sense, he wasn't even that. What made him weird is the fact that he was eating it as a foodstuff.
But the fact that he was English maybe made it easier for him to eat the heart of the French king.
Yes!
Knowing the animosity
between
the nations.
Well, at the very least, if he tried that on an English king, that would have been a crime.
Yeah.
If he tried it on a French king, maybe it was a crime in France, but in England, that's fine,
Incredible story. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.